And we're on again. Fantastic. Well, our guest on the video podcast this week is a lady called Gihan Hyde. Now, Gihan helps companies implement and communicate their environmental, social impact and governance, which is ESG strategies. Now, Gihan and her company, which is called Communique, have led ESG campaigns in some of the world's largest organizations, including Barclays, HSBC, M&S, BP, and the Riyadh Metro project. So we thought it'd be useful to have her on the show as part of our quest to find out how SMEs can start their people and planet journey and do what our political leaders have failed to do in StreamAid's quick fire question session. So welcome, Gihan.
Hello. Hi, everyone. And thank you for having me, Keith.
Well, thank you for joining us. Now, I just want to sort of quickly just to jump straight into it. As a person that you engage with companies that want to take on, those sort of important first steps on the road to a greener future. I mean, do you think that we're going to see more companies including like an ESG monitor person in their business, in the way that, I was thinking that, like you have a fire monitor or a first aider or something else like that. Do you think companies are going to have somebody responsible for making sure that they are compliant with all ESG needs?
Absolutely. And I'm it's going to be sooner than later, that's for sure. It's already being kicked off in the UK. So for example, this year alone, there is 35,000 roles related to ESG.
Wow.
That organizations are hiring for. And according to a UK-based recruitment agency called Robert Walters, apparently the number of CSR-related jobs have increased 74% since 2020, this year alone. And it's up 54% since last year. So wow. You can imagine how serious this is coming towards every company. And what really interested me from their report, it's the sectors and where it's really focusing on having ESG related roles. So for example, the real estate and the construction sector, they have 19% increase of jobs being advertised versus the professional sector, which is 13%. And in my specialty, I'm a financial services focused at the moment. We are up by 8%. And all of these roles are taking away from the CSR roles. So ESG, just for you to know, ESG is different than CSR. CSR is marketing led, and it's purely about the society, the social impact. But ESG, it covers three aspects. It covers the environmental impact that a company would have on the environment that they're operating in. It also covers the social impact of where they operate in. But most importantly, which is CSR doesn't cover, it's the governance. How is this company being governed? And that would apply for all sizes and all sectors of organizations.
Fantastic.
So the answer is yes. Basically, yes, it is coming. It is definitely happening, and we are already seeing the increase in roles being advertised.
Well, I'll be fascinated to know what that role looks like. So there's going to be a mass. They're coming. The ESG, I guess, monitors individuals. I'm head of ESG for a certain company. What does that look like? Is that someone walking around the office battering plastic straws out of people's mouths? Or is it something, I guess, a bit more kind of structured? And where do you start with that?
Well, it depends on the size of company, first of all. If you're a large size company, so if you're, let's say, a FTSE 100, that role will be very technical and will be focused completely on investor relations and on the reporting side of the company. So that role would be probably director of sustainability, for example. If you are a small SME, that role could differ. So for example, if you're a company between 200 employees to 500, that role would probably be a sustainability specialist within the communications team, because they don't have a sustainability department as per se. So it really differs from the sizes of the roles. However, the data is saying, according to Robert Walters, Robert Walters, the majority of the roles that are now being filled are the senior role. So mainly it's the director of sustainability.
Well, it's very good to know. And I mean, presumably this is going to be a sort of a growth industry as well for companies in that you'll have advisories. I mean, I remember, sort of working for various companies where, you had first aiders and fire marshals and stuff like that. And there were various training courses that they could go on, that kept them abreast of all the latest developments and stuff. So I presume there's going to be sort of a growth market in that type of business as well.
Oh, absolutely. Training on, so first of all, I don't like the word sustainability, and I don't use it often because for me, the word sustainability doesn't mean anything. And we've been using it in the wrong context the whole time. So I always use the word people and planet. It's more concrete. When it comes to people and planet training, yes, it has risen enormously. And for those who cannot afford to pay for these training sessions, there are numerous free sessions and free accreditation, certification that you can take. So, for example, at the beginning, I really wanted to understand what ESG meant without really going into the technicalities of it. It's not something that makes me wake up in the morning, frankly speaking, looking into the hardcore of people on planet. So what I did is I opted to take the free courses from Coursera. They have amazing free courses, and so the one I took was with Columbia University, for example. The UN also offers free training session. They're excellent, and it's all about how can your business align its business model and ways of working to the UN Sustainable Goals, which is the 17 goals that determine how impactful you're going to be when it comes to your planet, society, and your governance.
And so, I mean, but these are all voluntary, right? I mean, there's nothing that compels every company to have to, to go through these courses. But I mean, what's it going to take for us to be able to, so that part of what you normally do when you set up a company is that one of the things that you need to do is to have your ESG certification or whatever. I mean, what's it going to take for that to be a mandatory thing?
Well, it's already taking off. So
Right.
it's not going to be a choice anymore, Keith. It will be a law from now on, moving forward, especially after COP26 being in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and the UK adhering to the outcomes of COP26. So to give you an example, to answer your question, what does it take? It takes a strong infrastructure. It takes a company to be in a country and an environment that has the right infrastructure. So to give you an example, in the UK, even though the UK has committed to lower its carbon by 2030, they don't have yet the infrastructure to support that.
Right.
So people living in flats in London, for example, they don't have the infrastructure to help them recycle. And if they do put their recycling bin on the pavement, they'll be liable and charged for fly tipping. Yes. So all these apartments you see, they don't have the right infrastructure to have an impact on our environment and save our people and planet. So, and that goes for the companies as well. If the companies are not in a society and a country that has the right infrastructure, they will not succeed. It's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't know how to do it, because nothing is helping them. Look at the Middle East. We are not there yet. So I'm from the Middle East, and we don't have the infrastructure. So we don't have recycling facilities, for example. We don't have the mindset to help us understand the difference between plastic and carton and which will be recyclable and which not, should the facility happen. So that's number one, infrastructure for the companies to be in. Number two, the company need to ask itself, why do you want to be people and planet focused? Are you doing it because you have to do it by law, or are you doing it because your employees are forcing you? To give you another example, if it's the employees, then that in the UK alone, globally by 2025, the Gen Zers are going to be 60% of our population, and 80% of these Gen Zers have said, we will not be working for a company that is not ESG adherent. So that's a big problem for companies. So once you figure out your why, once you have the right infrastructure, then everything will fall in place and you will be people and planet focused.
Now, Gihan, Keith listed a whole host of companies that you've worked with regards to ESG, and also on your Communique website, you've also talked about some of the underdeveloped countries that you've worked with as well, and underrepresented countries. What can we in the developed world learn from your experience of working with the underdeveloped countries in bringing this to the forefront?
What Communique is all about is that, so my purpose when founding Communique is the social impact. And the reason I founded Communique is because I'm originally from Sudan. And when I came to the UK, even though I worked in the UN and I worked in multinational organizations, I was not taken seriously and with my experience. So no one actually looked at my experience. They always said, oh, you don't have UK experience, so you can't work here. So so I have a team of 9 at the moment. 99% of them are all from underdeveloped countries and underrepresented communities. And that's what's mentioned on the website. What have I learned from them? I have learned that they're the young generation who really be changing the world. And they're so frustrated because they don't have the facilities to do that. They are the bread earners in their household. They're too busy trying to survive, let alone think of saving the planet. Okay, what I've also learned from them is that they're willing to change. They just need that break and that opportunity. So that's what I've learned from them.
And it's an HR challenge as well, isn't it? Because obviously, like you're saying, I mean, you've got, you're talking about younger employees there coming into the workforce, and they're obviously going to want to work for companies that have, good policies and good behaviours as far as their sort of ESG performance is concerned. But what is it that companies can do in order to make what are the quick wins that companies can do, to make sure that they're kind of doing the right thing and they're on the right path?
First of all, so when the majority of my clients at the moment are actually SMEs as we speak, and they're the ones who are coming to us and saying, we really want to be people on planet focused, but we don't know how to start. So once we work with them and understand why they want to become people on planet, we then look at their values. And once we look at their values, we then help them create initiatives that would align with their values and purpose. Because not every initiative will work for everyone. For example, as Communique, so we're a team of 10, right? We're not based in the UK. We are global. If we look into our waste management initiatives, waste management won't apply for us at all. It doesn't apply. But if we look at our carbon footprint, that would apply for us. So what we do is we analyze the company. So the company basically needs to figure out what sector it's in, what are their impact when it comes to their environmental, social, and governance, just from a high level point of view. Once they realize what are the impacts, what's the touch points that's important to them, And in the reporting cycle, it's called the materiality assessment, i.e., what is super important to me as a company? Is it the diversity of my employees? Is it my impact on my community? Is it reducing my footprint? Once we have these touch points, this is where the policy building comes in. Because a policy will hold you accountable and will hold you responsible once you have it. And it's your guideline to follow. It will also help your employees to understand what you're trying to achieve. And I always tell this to my clients, the policies always come after the materiality assessment comes in. And then the policy needs to always be aligned to your values. So to answer your question, very simply, figure out where is your major impact coming from, then write your policies, share it with your employees and your customers and suppliers, because the policy has to be impacting your stakeholder, not just your shareholders. Share it with them, then let your employees own it. Ask them questions. How would you bring this policy to life? So we've now realized we have a policy. We're happy. Yay. How do we make it? How do we live it? And your employees are your secret weapon in this one.
That makes perfect sense. I've not really thought about it that way. You know, there is no one size fits all, and you're on a journey, and at the end of that journey, it becomes part of your organization's culture. All right, this is how we do things here, and it's these policies steer us in the right direction. So that sounds like there's optimism to be had ahead. Gihan.
Oh,
So
yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Oh, yes. There is optimism and there is necessity as well. I think the time is here. The data is always telling us we don't have time left for our environment. So necessity and optimism is definitely in the midst of the future. That's for sure. Yes.
Excellent.
That's what we all want to hear. That's what we all want to hear.
A little bit of optimism. I know. We went down a bit of a dark hole with our last interview, because we were sort of beginning to wonder whether it was all getting a bit dystopian. But I think it's nice to have somebody like Gihan who's able to kind of to put a positive spin on it. Now, I mean, one of our former guests was a guy by the name of Chris Whitaker. And he was looking at it from the kind of sports, from the world of sports, and he said that one of the biggest challenges to implementing more kind of rigid ESG regulations was the fact that there's very few actual laws that can be enforced. Basically, that companies weren't held to the right kind of standards, or that it didn't kind of, there was nothing there that they could follow, and they had to kind of make it up as they went along. I mean, are there any solutions that can be adopted, like with B-Corps or with codes of conduct, that companies can investigate and adopt, so as a kind of a lower level type of strategy that they can do?
So Chris is correct. Unfortunately for us, we do not have a standard laws that would enable us or guide us on how to become people on planet focused, or even force us, frankly speaking, because sometimes we do need to be forced to do so. But the good news is, if we look at the UK, for example, and the US, they both have agreed now that the top 1,300 organizations have to report on their financial impact, on the environmental impact from a financial point of view. And they have to adhere by a process of reporting called TCFD. It's basically a report that explains how a company is impacting, how a company is being, the impact of the financial part of the company when it comes to environment. So are they saving money? Are they not, for example? How much are they not saving by, and how much are they spending? So now it's a law that's been implemented, done, dusted. Then there is the Green Claims Act that was issued by the CMA, which is the Competition and Market Authority. And that's, again, it's a new regulations that have been implemented since January. forcing every company, small or large, to really challenge whatever statements they're making regarding their people and planet. And if not, they will be fined if they're caught. Okay.
And are those fines stringent? I mean, just sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I mean, are they like worthy fines, or are they just like, you know, just like £50 or £100 or something?
Believe it or not, that was actually a question I asked. I couldn't find the answer.
Right.
I do not know. They only said it's going to be in hundreds and thousands of pounds. But then if I'm an SME and I'm poor, how do I do that? How do I pay that? So I genuinely don't know.
That's worth investigating.
I don't know how big or small the fines are, because I think they're still working on it to decide what is who will be paying what according to the size, because it will definitely be according to size. So this is the regulation. So these are two examples of regulations that are really coming, and hopefully that would help us and guide us towards the journey. In some countries, that's not applicable, because it's not yet applicable. However, some of the SMEs, and specifically you're talking about 10 employees to 500 employees, they want to become people and planet focused, but they don't know how to. So they do follow some frameworks, including the B-Corp accreditation and the UN Sustainable Goal framework. I am following these two because I'm small. I'm too small to be reporting on my TCFD, even though I could, but I'm too small. I mean, it's going to be a page, not much reporting happening. And the reason people choose these two frameworks, because it's just a starting point. It's a dictionary that would help you decipher the complexity of people and planet. And B-Corp has definitely really rocketed off recently. And the way B-Corp works is that a company will go into the website, and there's 170 questions to answer. These questions are around 5 themes, and these themes provides you with everything you need to start your journey. So even if you don't want to be accredited, if you just answer these questions, you're sorted.
And how do you find that? Is that like bcorp.com or something? Is there?
Yeah, it's bcorp.net, I think.
I didn't even know that was a website.
Yeah. It's a bcorp.net. Or maybe there's another one for the UK. Each country has a different website in B Corp. But the questions are the same. You just go in and you answer. So that could be also a solution for companies who don't want to invest a lot of money to become accredited. Because depending on your revenue, this will dictate how much annual fee you'll be paying to remain accredited.
Yeah, I was going to ask you whether there was a cost of entry for this sort of thing.
There is. So if you are a startup like myself, I think it is $250 a year to continue to be accredited. However, every 3 years, I will have to go through the same rigorous process of showcasing how I am people on planet adherent or focused by re-answering the questions again and reproofing each question. So it's not just good to answer the question. I had to prove how I had to demonstrate my question. So if it's a yes, let's say to a social impact, I have to provide all the data to support my answer. And it's not an easy process. It took us 5 months to just finish the process, and I'm still now waiting for the verdict if I am in or out.
Wow.
The waiting time is a year for you to hear back from them. That's how demanding.
And what about the SMEs that you've been working with? Is that one of their goals as well, to be a B Corp accredited, or do you walk them down a different route instead?
To be honest, the majority of SMEs don't even know what B Corp is. So they literally just come to us and say, how do we start the process? So again, this is how we do our process. We do the audit, then we do the assessment, and then we do the road mapping for them. Depending on their appetite, depending on their size, depending on your sector, we then decide if it's the B Corp direction, if it's the UN Sustainable Goal direction, or is it the GRI direction? The GRI, again, it's a third report that you can report on, and this is open for every company, small or large. It stands for the Global Reporting Initiative, and it has around 200 data sets that you have to report against, and that include everything other than environment, other than financials. So financial is not there. It's all about how are you treating your employees, how are you what is the policies for your compliances, and things like that. So it's very general. So this is what we do. This is where we come in and then assess which framework works for who.
And just in case some of our viewers, Gihan, don't know what a B Corp is, me included, can you just very briefly explain what is it? It sounds quite laborious. Sounds tough work.
Nick,
it is laborious. It is actually. It is laborious, Nick. So B Corp stands for B Corporation, and it is an accreditation body. It's a non-for-profit accreditation body. And if you are part of that, you are part of a very strong 3,000 plus community members and organizations. So the likes of Ben & Jerry ice cream, the likes of Patagonia, the likes of, in the UK, the likes of Pukka herb teas, for example, they're all B Corp accreditations. And if you are also a B Corp member, that means that you have gone through the rigorous assessment to prove your accountability, your desire, and your responsibility to provide to protect our people and planet.
I mean, some of the company names you just brought up there, Gihan. I mean, we're talking about some big players there. I mean, you're talking about blue chip companies. I mean, at a lower level for SMEs, for like plumbing, a family plumbing business or whatever that wanted to do that. I mean, are you saying that probably their best route is to go through that questioning session on the B Corp website to answer all those questions and to use it more as a roadmap, but not actually go through to the actual final certification? Or do you think it's accessible? Is it something that a small company, a small family plumbing business should do, or would you advise against that?
That's a catch-22 question, to be honest. I cannot not advise against it. I mean, of course, if they want to be accredited and they want to have that stamp of approval from their global peers, absolutely go for it. But if you're an SME that you have literally just started, and I mean started,
right,
whether you're trading year or either ways, yeah. One thing I have to tell you though, B Corp will not accept you as a member if you haven't traded for at least a year, and you have to show your P&L, profit and loss, in that year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what B Corp does. So you have to be a year old before you apply. Going back to your original question, Keith, as a plumbing company, take the questions, definitely answer them. And once you answer them, it will tell you if you're ready or not.
Right.
Because you could easily answer and you say, oh my God, I don't have any of this. I can't do any of this. I can't control any of this.
But it gives you a point to start from, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And are there grants and things that you can get? I mean, are there sort of government assistance or whatever that you can get that would cover the cost of any of this? I mean, that strikes me as that there's a quick win for a government to say is that there's money available for companies to be able to, to sort of, to meet the criteria for certification.
No, there are no government grants for B Corp accreditation, because that means the government is approving something that's not part of them, because it's a privately owned company.
I didn't realize it was a private business.
Yeah, it's a private business.
Oh,
It's a private business that donates a lot of its profits back to the planet and people. So it's a social enterprise,
right.
but
Okay.
run by private shareholders.
Might be interesting to get somebody on there from there to come and talk about it. What do you think?
There's loads, and I'm sure they'll love to talk to you.
Yeah.
Loads and loads of them.
Fantastic. Well, that's great, Gihan. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you to come on and help us with that, Gihan.
Oh, my pleasure.
And it's, I mean, this isn't the first time we've spoken. It's always great to have a chat with you anyway. And we hope that obviously anybody watching this might be kind of inspired to start taking some action. And as Gihan said, even if you're not sure that you're okay with being able to go through the accreditation process, at least just use the questions as a bit of a roadmap and then start to build out from there. And obviously you can always reach out to Gihan. And she'll be able to advise you of next steps, because I mean, all of these problems that we're talking about and we're facing and stuff like that, I mean, they're only going to be solved by the power of many. Is that right?
Absolutely. And to be honest, at the beginning, I actually took advantage of me not understanding all of this by writing numerous blogs on, basically it was ESG for layman people.
Okay.
And you'll find all of this on my website, communique.global. But what's interesting, there's also a mini step-by-step process that you can take towards the people on planet if you don't want to go through the 170 questions.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. Well, I think I'll speak for everyone when I say that we're all going to join your fan club now. So good luck with Communique, and I hope that you'll find some more time to come and help us celebrate StreamAid actually on the day, on the 21st of June, and come on and join the party, and we'll make sure that we go through the Q&A session with you again. But thank you very much, Gihan. Thanks for putting the time aside.
Thank you, and I can't wait for June to come. Can't wait.
Thanks very much, Gihan. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks, Gihan.
Bye-bye.